What if I told you that 99% of sports bettors are asking the wrong question? They stare at the screen and ask, who is going to win this match? While the top 1%, the professional traders, are asking, where is the mathematical error in this price? If you are trying to beat the market by guessing the final score, is it better to rely on luck, or is it better to trade market inefficiencies like a hedge fund? Football betting strategies that actually generate long-term ROI are incredibly rare because most people treat this as a game of passion. But in this video, I'm stripping away the emotion to reveal the mathematical architecture of the market. I'm going to break down 3 advanced strategies that allow you to cut through emotional reactions, exploit hidden liquidity shifts, and capitalize on the passage of time itself. There is no guesswork here, no gut feelings. We are talking about defined, calculated advantages. So stick with me, because we aren't just going to talk about what to bet on. We're going to dissect how the money moves and how you can position yourself ahead of the crowd. And if you want to test these methods risk-free, keep watching, because I'll show you how to access the very same tools professional syndicates use, starting with a completely free $25 starter pack on Kalstrop. Before we can execute the first strategy, we need to understand the terrain. You see, when odds change on your screen, it's not magic, it's physics. It's the result of 2 forces, liquidity and the weight of money, or WOM. Most bettors think a goal is the only thing that moves a price. That's false. The price moves based on the pressure of the money entering the market. Imagine a tug of war. On one side, you have people backing a team. On the other, people laying against them. Liquidity is the fuel in the tank, the amount of money waiting to be matched. When a match is quiet, the tank is full and prices are stable. But the moment a significant event occurs, a red card, a penalty, or a goal, that liquidity evaporates instantly. The spread, which is the gap between the buy and sell price, widens. This is where the concept of order flow comes in. If you look at a standard bookmaker, you're flying blind. But if you use a tool like the Kalstrop Live Odds Analyzer, you can actually see the weight of money. For example, if there is $100,000 waiting to lay a team, but only $5,000 waiting to back them, the price has to drift out. It's inevitable. Understanding this pressure is what separates a gambler from a trader. We don't just watch the game, we watch the money flow behind the game. Now that you understand liquidity, let's apply it to our first strategy, volatility scalping via mean reversion. This approach is designed for high-stress moments where human emotion breaks the mathematical efficiency of the market. We are effectively selling the panic. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine a scenario in the Premier League. Manchester City is playing at home against a mid-table team like Wolves. City is the heavy favorite, trading at odds of around 1.20. Suddenly, in the 15th minute, Wolves break away and score a fluke goal, 0-1. Chaos ensues. The casual bettors panic. They rush to cash out their bets on City or aggressively bet on Wolves. The liquidity we talked about? It disappears. Because of this liquidity void, the algorithms widen the odds aggressively to protect themselves. In seconds, Manchester City's odds might spike from 1.20 all the way up to 1.70. This is the overreaction peak. Here is the reality. Does one early goal really drop City's win probability that drastically? Historically and statistically, no. The fundamentals of the match haven't changed that much. Only the market sentiment has. This is the execution. We enter the market right at this peak panic. We place a back bet on Manchester City at the inflated price of 1.70. Now, listen closely. We are not betting on City to win the game. We are betting on the market to calm down. Within 60 to 90 seconds, the shock wears off. The algorithmic bots return to the market, adding liquidity back into the pool. The weight of money stabilizes. The price naturally corrects itself, moving from that panic high of 1.70 down to a more rational 1.50. That difference? That is your profit margin. You can then cash out or trade out of your position for a guaranteed profit, regardless of how the match ends. You aren't hoping for a goal, you're profiting from the market correcting its own emotional mistake. To spot these moments in real time without being glued to the screen, you need data that is faster than the TV broadcast. This is where Kalstrop's AI models excel, processing these six-dimensional shifts instantly. So we've covered how to exploit panic. But what happens when the game is boring? What happens when absolutely nothing is happening? That is where the theta decay strategy comes in, and trust me, it's arguably the most consistent earner in the portfolio. Let's get into that next. If you want to survive in this market, you have to stop looking at odds as payouts and start seeing them for what they truly are: implied probabilities. This is the concept that separates the casual punter from the quantitative analyst. When you see a price of 2 on the screen, your brain thinks, if I bet $100, I win $100. That's the gambler's mindset. A trader looks at 2 and sees the inverse equation. 1 divided by 2 equals 0.5. That is a 50% implied probability. The market is telling you, we believe there is a 50% chance this event happens. Here is the secret. The market is often lazy. It relies on pre-match historical data to set that line. But a football match is a living, breathing organism. The real-time probability, what is actually happening on the pitch right now, often diverges from the implied probability on the screen. Let's say you are watching a deadlock game. The market odds for under 2.5 goals might imply a 70% chance of holding. But if you are using the Kalstrop soccer prediction model, which processes six-dimensional metrics like team chemistry index and live XGA, expected goals against, you might see that the real-time probability is actually 85%. That 15% gap? That is what we call the edge. It represents a mispricing in the market. We aren't guessing. We are exploiting the fact that the bookmakers' algorithms haven't caught up to the reality of the game yet. And this leads us directly into our second, and arguably most consistent strategy. This brings us to theta trading, or profiting from time decay. In financial options trading, theta measures how much value an option loses as time passes. Football betting works exactly the same way, specifically in the goals markets. Here is the physics of it. The probability of a goal being scored does not decrease in a straight line. It follows an exponential decay curve. In the first half, odds move slowly. But as we cross the 60th and 70th minute marks, that curve becomes steep. The odds for under goals shorten rapidly with every passing second. Let's visualize a live scenario to execute this perfectly. Imagine a Serie A match, Juventus versus a defensive, low-block team like Torino. It is the 55th minute and the score is 0-0. The market is nervous. The odds for under 1.5 goals are sitting at roughly 1.90. Most bettors would say, I'll bet on under and pray nobody scores for 35 minutes. That is dangerous. That is gambling. We want to see high possession in the middle third, lots of back passing, and 0 entries into the penalty box, final third. If the data confirms the game is stagnant, we enter the market. We back under 1.5 goals at 1.90 in the 55th minute. Now pay attention. We do not hold this bet until the end of the game. We hold it for a specific window, let's say 15 minutes. By the 70th minute, if the score is still 0-0, simple mathematics dictates that the odds of 1.90 must crash down to roughly 1.45 or 1.40 because the time remaining has drastically evaporated. We cash out right there. We capture that 40 to 50 tick drop as pure profit. We don't care if Juventus scores a winner in the 90th minute. We are already out. We bought time, watched it decay, and sold it back to the market. However, you must be disciplined. If the underdog suddenly substitutes on a fast striker and the game opens up, you exit. You trust the data, not hope. This is a volume strategy. Small, consistent wins that compound over time. Finally, let's discuss the strategy with the highest alpha potential. Information arbitrage via latency. The efficient market hypothesis claims that all known information is already priced in. In football, that is a lie. Information travels fast, but pricing updates travel slower, especially in derivative markets. A derivative market is anything linked to the main result, but not the main result itself. Things like corner counts, yellow cards, or even the opening odds for the next match. Let's construct a high-level example. Imagine a key playmaker for a dominant team. Let's say a Kevin De Bruyne type figure pulls up with a hamstring injury in the 20th minute. The entire world sees this. The match winner market corrects instantly because that's where the liquidity is. The bots slam that price shut in milliseconds. You can't beat them there. But here is the exploit. That playmaker was the primary set-piece taker. He was the guy who drives the ball to the byline to force corners. When he leaves the pitch, the team's corner expectancy drops statistically by maybe 30%. While the main market is adjusting the win probability, the total corners market often lags behind by 30 to 60 seconds. The algorithms prioritize the scoreline, leaving the secondary markets vulnerable. You immediately take a position on under corners, or adjust your handicap on the opposing team's possession stats. You are trading on factual news that is not yet fully distributed across the entire ecosystem of odds. Furthermore, this impacts future markets. If that injury looks serious, Kalstrop's prediction models will immediately downgrade that team's rating for next week's fixture. The public won't react until the official press conference 3 days later. You can bet on their opponent for next week right now, securing a value price of 2.50 before the public drives it down to 2.10 by Saturday. We are essentially time traveling. We are acting on the future consequences of a present event before the general consensus forms. If you've made it this far, you realize that we haven't talked about luck once. We've talked about liquidity, theta decay, implied probability, and latency. This is the difference between betting and trading. But knowledge is only potential power. Execution is actual power. To trade these strategies, you cannot rely on a TV broadcast that is delayed by 10 seconds or a generic stats app. You need institutional-grade data. You need to see the weight of money moving before the price shifts. This is exactly why we built Kalstrop. We don't benefit when you lose. We are built to empower the player against the operators. Right now, we are offering a free starter pack. You don't even need to risk your own capital to test these theories. When you sign up, we load your account with $25 in credits. Welcome to the alpha side of the market. Welcome to Kalstrop.